What makes someone a bad photographer? Well, this is my opinion. When it comes to photography and photographers, I believe you only get 3 different types of bad photographers. I'm not going to talk about good photographers, good photography, professional photography. I'm talking about bad photographers. Number 1 is the photographer who is bad because he simply has no skill. No matter how much you teach him, etc., they are just never going to understand photography to create a very good image. Some people simply cannot be taught because they might not have an interest or simply are not attuned to that process. Very much like me deciding I want to be a doctor. I know I'm never going to be a good doctor because I don't like blood. The problem is with these type of people, many of them have no idea that they are bad photographers. They have photographed their family and friends so often, their family and friends actually convince them you are good. And then they start entering into the professional photography market where they start charging people and disappointing clients. And yeah, that is your first type of bad photographer. The one who simply has no skill and cannot be taught skill. I am not talking about those who are starting out and will learn to do photography. Everyone has the right to be bad in the beginning, and you do teach yourself to become better. However, that puts me into the next step. I call them the bad photographers who edit to death. In the beginning, when people start out with photography, for some reason, they think that they can edit their photos into correctness or greatness or make it a good photo. Once you get into the mindset that you can edit any photo into greatness, where that photo started off as a bad photo, that makes you a bad photographer. Relying on editing to improve the look of your photo does not make you a good photographer. It makes you a good retoucher. However, there's nothing wrong in editing. Editing has total merit, and there's nothing wrong with being a good retoucher. And even great photographers will hire great retouchers or do retouching themselves in order to enhance their photo. But it is so much simpler starting with a great photo and then creating even a better photo or image through retouching. But if you or you know someone who has gotten into that mindset of I'll just fix it in Photoshop or I'll create something great in Photoshop, believe me, that is a bad photographer. Okay, and then the third type of bad photographer, and this is my pet peeve favorite type of bad photographer, and that is the lazy photographer. When I talk about the lazy photographer who is a bad photographer, I refer to those photographers who have hit a mental ceiling and refuse to do anything more. You often get them describing themselves as documentary type photographers or natural light photographers. And normally in that sense, because they don't want to progress any further by using off-camera flashes, off-camera lighting, complex lighting techniques, etc., because they are lazy. It irritates me. They are good, they know they are good, other people will tell them they are good, but they simply do not progress in their art form because they are lazy. And that laziness covers many fields, not simply just lighting, but lighting being the most obvious one. You know, when you get to a certain point in your photography, you very quickly learn that the only way you can improve the quality and look of your image is to actually add and control light. Not necessarily add, but control light. If you try and convince yourself that natural light is the only way to go, and you try and convince your clients that natural light is the only way to go, and you run around all over the place trying to find natural light, you're a bad photographer, because you know that the next step is using strobes, using off-camera flashes, adding continuous lighting, or other light, controlling the light. But why don't those photographers do it? Because they are lazy, because it means that they're going to need to hire assistants. They have to figure out how this light works, and it's just additional work. I see it at weddings. I do weddings, and I have a whole bunch of additional strobe equipment that goes with. My assistant carries himself stupid trying to get this light set up and moved, etc. I've got these battery packs that go all over the place. But that doesn't make me necessarily a good photographer. I like what I do, and I've gotten to a point where I believe my work is not bad, but I am progressing. I've taken it to that next step. The next thing is editing. I see so many photographers limit the number of photos in a package and refuse to create larger packages, make them as expensive as they need to be. Clients at weddings need, in many cases, many more photos. They want the entire day documented. Give them that option. This even goes into professional, great photographers. Why not give people the option of ordering all the photos from the day, or the good ones anyway, the ones that you are willing to edit? But if a photographer tells me that he will only give a wedding couple 300 photos, and that is that, I wonder why. And then more often than not, the answer comes back, it's just too much work to edit more than that. That's ridiculous. If it's too much work, then your customer is not important enough to you. If your customer is willing to pay for 1,000 photos that you shot, let them pay and edit the 1,000 photos for them the way that you would like to present it to them. But if your excuse is it's too much work, you shouldn't be in photography. It makes you a bad photographer. Your customer always comes first, no matter what. In photography, the customer comes first. Else, you become a bad photographer. Anyway, that is my opinion. I've really generalized here, and if I've stepped on some toes for professional photographers, it's just my opinion. Please leave your comments down below. Raise your opinion. Let me know what you think.